Hello students, I am teacher Svetlana and in our today's lecture we will learn about the components of a eukaryotic cell wall, cell membrane or the plasma membrane, cytoplasm, endoplasmic reticulum and the Golgi complex which is covered in the chapter cell structure and organization. So let's begin. The first component is the cell wall. It is rigid, supportive and protective outer covering of the plasma membrane of a plant cell, fungi and some protists. Algae show presence of cellulose, galactines and minerals like calcium carbonate in cell wall. In other plants, it is made up of hemicellulose, pectin, lipids and proteins. Microfibrils of the plant cell wall show presence of cellulose, which is responsible for rigidity. Some of the depositions of the cell wall are silica, glass stem, cutin, epidermal wall of land plants, submarines, endodermal cells of root, wax, lignin. It gives shape to the cell and protects from mechanical injury and infection. In plants, the cell wall shows middle lamina, primary wall and secondary wall. The middle lamina, it is thin and it lies between two adjacent cells. It is the first structure formed from cell plate during cytokinesis. Cytokinesis, students, is the step in your cell division. It is mainly made up of pectin, calcium and magnesium pectate. Softening of the ripe fruit is due to solubilizations of the pectin. Then we have the primary wall. In young plant cells, it is capable of growth. It is laid inside the middle lamina. It is the only wall seen in meristematic tissues, mesophyll, pits, etc. Then we have the secondary wall. It is present inner to the primary wall. Once the growth of the primary wall stops, secondary wall is laid. At some place, thickening is absent, which leads to the formation of pits. Plasmodesmata are the cytoplasmic bridges between the neighboring cells. When there are two cells adjacent to one another, they are connected to one another with the help of a bridge, and that bridge is called as a cytoplasmic bridge. It shows pores between cell wall and middle lamina. Now students, let us see about the cell membrane or the plasma membrane. It is thin, quasi-fluid structure present both extracellularly and intracellularly. Extracellularly, it is present around the protoplasm, and intracellularly, it is present around the cell organelles in the eukaryotes. So it basically surrounds the cell. It separates the cell organelles from the cytosol. Thickness of the biomembrane is about 75 angstroms. Under electron microscope, cell membrane appears trilaminar, made up of 3 layers. If you have a look at this image here, you can see 3 layers, 1, 2, 3 layers under the microscope. It shows presence of a lipid, mostly phospholipids arranged in bilayer. Bilayers means 2 layers. So these is the first layer and this is the second layer. These layers are called as the lipid bilayer. Now it shows presence of lipids, mostly your phospholipids. Now lipids pose 1 hydrophilic polar head and 2 hydrophobic non-polar tails. Hydrophilic is water loving and hydrophobic is repelling water. So these heads are hydrophilic and the tails are hydrophobic. So this is the head region and this is the tail region. So phospholipids are amphipathic. Lipid molecules are arranged in 2 layers, bilayers, in such a way that their tails are sandwiched in between their heads. So this is the first layer and this is the second layer. You can see the tails are sandwiched between the heads. Due to this, tails never come in direct contact with the aqueous surrounding. Cell membranes also show presence of proteins and carbohydrates. Ratios of proteins and lipids varies in different cells. For example, in human beings, RBC show approximately 52% proteins and 40% lipids. Then students, we have the fluid mosaic model which explains us the structure of your cell membrane. In most accepted. It is the most accepted model of cell membrane. It was proposed by Singer and Nicholson in 1972. According to this model, it is made up of phospholipid, bilayer, and proteins. Proteins are like icebergs in the sea of lipids. Here you can see this, a sea or a bed of lipids, and in between these blue molecules are your proteins. Proteins can change their position. Some proteins are intrinsic, that is, they occur at different depths of the bilayer. If you see this diagram, you will see that some of them are present internally and some are present externally. They span the entire thickness of the membrane. So they are called as transmembrane proteins. They form channels for passage of water. We are talking about this protein. You can see it is there across the entire thickness, and it forms a channel which is helpful in the passage of water. Extrinsic or peripheral proteins are found on two surfaces of the membrane. These are said to be your extrinsic or peripheral proteins. The ones which are embedded are your intrinsic proteins. We have quasi-fluid nature of the lipid enables lateral movement of these proteins. So these proteins can freely move around. This ability to move within the membrane is measured as fluidity. So this appearance of your lipid bilayer is called as the fluid mosaic model. Now students, let us quickly have a look at the functions of the plasma membrane. Main function of the plasma membrane is transport of molecules across it. This membrane is selectively permeable. During passive transport, many molecules move across the membrane without spending energy. Some solutes move by simple diffusion along the concentration gradient, that is, they move from high to low concentrations. Neutral solutes may move across the membrane by the process of simple diffusion. This is called as passive transport. Water may also move by osmosis. Osmosis is also again a movement of water along a concentration gradient. During active transport, few ions or molecules are transported against the concentration gradient, that is from low to high concentrations. If requires this particular process requires energy, so ATP is utilized. As such, a transport is an energy dependent process in which ATP is utilized. It is called as an active transport. Example, we have the sodium potassium pump. Polar molecules cannot pass through the non-polar lipid bilayer, so they require carrier proteins. The next important component is the cytoplasm. The cell contains ground substance called as cytoplasmic matrix or cytosol. This colloidal gel-like material is not static. It shows streaming movements called as cyclosis. Have a look at this diagram here. Just it is kept to the minimum levels of the parts, that is, only the nucleus is shown, the cell membrane is shown, and the cytoplasm is shown. So this cytoplasm is colloidal jelly-like and it is always moving. The cytoplasm consists water as a major component along with the organic and inorganic molecules like sugar, amino acids, vitamins, enzymes, nucleotides, minerals, and waste products. It also contains various cell organelles like endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, mitochondria, plastids, nucleus, microbodies, and cytoskeletal elements like microtubules. Cytoplasm acts as a source of raw materials as well as seeds for various metabolic activity taking place in the cell. So cytoplasm is the site for major metabolic activities, and it also helps in the distribution and exchange of materials between various cell organelles. The next important component is the endoplasmic reticulum, which is called as ER. The endoplasmic reticulum is a complicated system of membranous channels and flattened vesicles. It is physically continuous with the outer membrane of the nuclear envelope. So if you see this image here, this is the nuclear envelope and it is continuously attached along the outer membrane of the nuclear envelope. It is revealed from the electron microscopic studies of eukaryotic cells that there is a presence of network or reticulum of tiny tubular structures that are scattered in the cytoplasm. It forms more than 50% of the total membrane of the eukaryotic cell. ER is known to be absent in prokaryotes, but it is present in all eukaryotic cells except germinal cells and mature human RBCs. Endoplasmic reticulum divides the intracellular space into two main compartments. Luminal, that is inside the endoplasmic reticulum, a compartment is there, and extraluminal, that is the cytoplasmic compartment. Types of endoplasmic reticulum, depending upon their nature, we have two types. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum, called as SER. They are smooth because they do not bear ribosomes in the form of granules on their surfaces. It is present in cells where they act as a major site for synthesis of lipids and also help in synthesis of steroidal hormones in animal cells. This here is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum, they are found extensive and continuous with the outer membrane of the nucleus. They have rough membrane because they have ribosomes attached to their surfaces. They are actively being seen in cells which have their involvement in the synthesis and secretions of proteins. Have a look at this image here. You can see these tiny dots which give a rough appearance to the ER, and hence it is called as the rough endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum possesses the following functions. It provides support to the colloidal cytoplasmic matrix. It helps in rapid intracellular transport of the material. Smooth ER is involved in various processes in different cells. Depending upon the cell type, it helps in synthesis of lipids. Example, steroids, secreting cells of cortical region of the adrenal gland, testes and ovaries. Detoxification of drugs and poisons by the liver cell and storage of calcium ions by the muscle cells. On the other hand, the rough endoplasmic reticulum is primarily involved in protein synthesis. Example, the pancreatic cells that secrete insulin. These proteins are secreted by the ribosomes attached to the rough ER and are also called as secretory proteins. These proteins get wrapped in the membrane that buds off the transitional region of the ER. Such membrane-bound proteins depart from the ER as transport vesicles. Rough ER is also involved in the formation of membrane for the cells. The ER membrane grows in place by addition of membrane proteins and phospholipids to its own membrane. Portion of this expanded membrane are also transferred to the other components of the endomembrane system. Then we have the Golgi complex or the Golgi apparatus or the Golgi body. Various terms are used to denote this assembly, manufacturing, packaging and transport unit of the cell. They essentially consist of sacs of membranous sacs which are called as cristae. Diameter of the cristae varies from 0.5 to 1 micrometer. A cell may have few to several cristae depending on its function. The thickness and the molecular composition of the two membranes of a Golgi sac differs from each other. The Golgi sac shows specific orientation in the cells. Each cristae has a forming or a cris phase. Cris is on the same side and the maturing or the trans phase on the opposite side. Transport vesicles that pitch off from the transitional ER merges with the cis phase of the Golgi cristena and adds its content into the lumen. This explains why Golgi bodies are usually located near the ER. Modified and condensed secretions leave Golgi through the trans phase again as membrane-bound vesicles. Functions. Golgi body carries out two types of functions: modification of the secretion of the ER and production of its own secretions. Cristae containing specific enzymes for specific function. Refining of products takes place in an orderly manner. For example, glycolipids and glycoproteins that are brought from the endoplasmic reticulum lose certain sugars and regain others, thus forming a variety of products. Golgi bodies also manufacture their own products. In plants, cell produces non-cellular polysaccharides like pectin. Manufactured or modified, all products of the Golgi complex leave the cristae from the trans phase as transport vesicles. Thank you, students, for your participation in this lecture. See you soon again with the next topic. Till then, take care, be safe, and keep learning.